5 minutes early. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with no co-host tonight. Chip is MIA. So tonight we are going to talk about. Well, here's a question that was posed by John Deaton. Did Ripple commit fraud? Now that's an interesting question because John Deaton had some interesting commentary on that, and I'm sure that Chip and I have also discussed that a time or two. Ripple wins a brand new U.S. patent, and who remembers Flare? You know, we have a lot of content to cover. The White House commenting on SBF has something to do with reviewing a pandemic. John Deaton on Charles Payne, Jim Cramer giving us some green candle signals to buy crypto, and Warren Davidson also has some commentary on FTX. A lot of stuff to get into, a short amount of time to do it. What is up, James L? What is up, Darcy? What is up, everybody else that's here? And the first one in the chat tonight is Legendary. So if you guys are ready to kick this thing off, I think I'm ready. So let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right. Welcome. Got a lot of great stuff to talk about today. What's going on, everyone? Gotta love this. James L. Just started watching your show. It's great. What do you guys do for day gigs? Hey, that's a good one. We can get into that, into business and other such things. What is going on? Oz Crypto, everybody. If you guys haven't tuned into Oz Crypto yet, go and tune in to Oz Crypto. You'll definitely appreciate it. He's got a great YouTube channel. We always appreciate going on to Oz Crypto, and he is absolutely outstanding. Actually, we have an invite to bring Oz Crypto on here. Oz, were you already on the show? Seems like you were just on the show. Now I am kind of it's kind of crazy. Anyhow, we need to bring Oz back on the show. Oz is great. You guys will love him. Go check out his channel. Anyhow, a lot of stuff to get into. What do we want to start with first? You know what? Now I know you were on recently, and it was outstanding. So we need to get you back on again. Actually, not on our show, but we got to get onto Oz Crypto show actually. So that'll be great. So what are we going to get into? What do we want to start with? You know what I want to kick it off with? Actually, I was going to go through some video, but it was actually a tweet from Brad Garlinghouse. Now, this tweet from Brad Garlinghouse is very important because he's referencing the 118th Congress. Now, obviously, if you're watching the news, they have had a small issue trying to get a majority House Speaker of the House. And it could take a little bit more time. But anyhow, regardless of that fact, Brad Garlinghouse saying today is the first day of the 118th Congress. While prior efforts at regulatory clarity for crypto in the U.S. have stalled, I am cautiously optimistic that 2023 is the year we will finally see a breakthrough. And then he has this long thread as to why he believes that we're going to have a breakthrough. And now this is going to be very interesting because we get to potentially have a breakthrough in Congress, in the House. The question is whether or not we're going to have a breakthrough in the Senate. So if we have a breakthrough in the Senate, which would have to respond to the House, then it would have to pass this legislation on for a presidential signature. So the question still is, if it gets through the House, does the Senate and then the president have an appetite for a true crypto regulation? Now, I'm also a bit cautiously optimistic, as Brad Garlinghouse is referencing. Now, let's get into why he believes that. And we are going to pinpoint, a few of the key points here. So number one, support from regulation is bipartisan. Leaders like Patrick McHenry, Congressman, who's Glenn Thompson, Tom Emmer, as we know. If you guys haven't seen Tom Emmer yet, go to onthechain.io, do a quick search for Tom Emmer. You can also do Warren Davidson. Check that out. Those are previous interviews that we did with both Tom Emmer and Congressman Davidson. You definitely will appreciate both those interviews. Again, go to onthechain.io and check that out. We got Richie Torres. We have Kana, Stabenow, Boozman, Gillibrand, Lummis, and Booker. He said, have publicly supported blockchain and recognized the need for clarity. Now, obviously, getting some clarity in this regulatory sphere is going to be very important for the further development and the leadership role that the United States is going to take, or at least maintain, in crypto. Now, all the chaos that's going on with the SEC v. Ripple, even, and I don't know if I put the tweet in here, but it was a very, very clear tweet. Don't remember who said it right now, but the point was that even if the SEC, let's say they somehow end up winning the case in such a way that XRP is still deemed a security, or XRP is deemed a security, the outcome would then only impact the US, because the rest of the world has already moved on with their life and has started establishing some clear path to normalcy within crypto, as they have done also with XRP. So Brad Garlinghouse said, "We're not working with a blank slate. Prior bills have tried to address everything from stable coins and central exchanges, clear definitions of what constitutes a digital asset, the Securities Clarity Act, Safe Harbor, clarity for digital tokens, and more. No bill is perfect, and there likely never will be one that satisfies everyone, but perfect shouldn't be the enemy of progress. These proposals provide more than a starting point for a debate in this new Congress. The stakes couldn't be higher." And that is 100%. The stakes definitely couldn't be higher. And Brad Garlinghouse has also referenced and pointed out the significance of the SEC v. Ripple case, putting Ripple at the forefront, really on the very front line of the battle that's being waged against the entire crypto industry. So when you're on the front line and you're fighting on behalf of all crypto, it becomes very, very critical. Obviously, the outcome of what's happening, but it's really propelled Brad Garlinghouse to being a central figure in this battle that's being waged against the crypto industry. So he goes on here: Singapore, the EU, Brazil, and Japan all have crypto frameworks. The US doesn't. Obviously, there's some issue, and now we see more foot dragging, and we wonder why there's issue within Congress trying to get to some sort of regulatory normalcy. The UK is also well ahead of the US, but the lack of coordinated standards globally or in the US continues to push business to countries with low regulatory bars, with sometimes catastrophic results like FTX. Now, obviously, FTX, that whole catastrophe was more than just, they were over in the Bahamas. There was obviously a lot more at play with FTX, and we're going to start seeing a lot of that unfurl itself as it progresses. Brad Garlinghouse goes on: "Changing the status quo is never easy, but I believe that the will to act exists." Now, I believe that also. So obviously, we've been at a point now, status quo, not just status quo, but even though the bills, and you had the Token Taxonomy Act. So Warren Davidson was behind and the primary sponsor of the Token Taxonomy Act, along with Darren Soto. Now they pushed that to the Financial Services Committee. So now what's going to be interesting as we move forward in this 118th Congress, as Brad Garlinghouse is excited about it, but it's very, very significant as the red team has now, basically taken the majority in the House. Now, many within the red party are very in favor of pushing forward regulatory normalcy. Obviously, Garlinghouse mentioned some on both sides because it is bipartisan. It just happens that it's heavier weighted on the side of the red team versus the blue team in terms of those that are supporting the decentralized framework of the crypto industry and the crypto financial asset. Now, so that's very significant. So the status quo is where we're at right now, which is where we see people like Elizabeth Warren and others that are continuously, and Brad Sherman, the Shermanator out in California, that are continuously battering the crypto and the crypto industry at large. And so here, obviously, that's the status quo. That is where we've been, the attack, the continuous attack. The SEC also very, there should be a spotlight on the fact that the SEC has taken such an aggressive approach with against cryptocurrency. So there is a will to act. The will has been shown, and obviously, again, they've presented the Token Taxonomy Act multiple times. There have been other bills that have come in front of Congress, that have come in front of the Financial Services Committee, and they just fall silent. They don't get voted on. They don't get discussion. It just dies on arrival in the Financial Services Committee. So at this point, there's an opportunity to change that. There's an opportunity for it to actually move forward, which is critical. Here again, he goes on, we have a chance to get this right for millions of Americans who are already and will continue to be interested in crypto. Now, hopefully they do. Now, here we go. The 6th, the 118th Congress has a historic opportunity before it to ensure the U.S. remains an innovation leader for decades to come. We hope it's one that they will take. And this is so significant right now. Again, you have a majority in the House that should have an appetite for providing regulatory clarity, that should have an appetite for making sure that the U.S. maintain itself as a leader within innovation. Obviously, cryptocurrency and the crypto markets are global, so it's not just in the U.S., but we see the impact of what's happening directly here in the United States, and it's been a very negative impact on crypto at large, thanks to a Congress and both the House and the Senate that have been very antagonistic to crypto. And again, the SEC has been their lead enforcer with Gary Gensler, our buddy Gary Gensler. Now we all know Gary Gensler on that approach. So all right, so that was Garlinghouse. Now as we go on, and I think this is a great kind of second to that tweet, which was a tweet here from John Deaton. Now, he was responding to Ron Hammond. Ron Hammond had a long tweet storm about what's going on and hopefully, some regulatory normalcy moving forward. And Ron Hammond talked a lot, but then he was also referencing some of the issues like Dodd-Frank, Glass-Steagall, Sarbanes-Oxley. Now, those are, definitely problematic bills that sit in front of us now that are impacting our financial infrastructure. Now, why were they passed? And it's interesting that Ron Hammond is referencing this because he said these were all major bills passed after a financial crisis or serious scandal. Now, it is entirely possible FTX's downfall will spur this once-in-a-decade legislation. Already, we have proposals like the Lummis, Gillibrand, and McHenry Waters. Now, I hope to God that we do not see any legislation that comes on the heels of FTX as a result of FTX, because like Dodd-Frank, Glass-Steagall, Sarbanes-Oxley, they're all very detrimental to, from a financial and economic perspective, and they have impacted industry. Now, this will be the exact same thing. So if you want to see a kind of a ball and chain put onto the crypto industry, then a bill that comes on the heels of the FTX issue will also be detrimental. Now, John Deaton responded, and I think this is very succinct with this respond. This is the problem with our leaders. All they do is react instead of act. And when you react to a crisis, you often go too far, which is what we've seen with each one of these instances. Everyone with good intentions has wanted smart and tailored legislation. It isn't coming soon. This is why fighting SEC overreach has been ground zero. Now, thank God for John Deaton putting it out there. This is so important to really wrap our minds around, because again, if we allow for some sort of regulation, and it'll be overzealous, and it'll be an overreach, as much as the SEC overreach has been very obvious. A bill that comes out of, whether it's the Lummis, Gillibrand, McHenry Waters, or whatever. Now, one of the things that we saw with the Lummis Gillibrand, although they claim it to be somehow crypto neutral, we've seen how they've been on the wrong side of crypto, favoring only Bitcoin. So now when we look at it from that perspective, where they are heavily leaning, and Lummis came out, talking about Bitcoin, although Lummis was a big proponent and supporter of the crypto industries at large. So it's kind of, there's some conflict going on within some of what she was saying and within the bill and everything else. We'd have to go back and dig through that. But I kind of, I think that this is really, really, poignant, as it comes on the heel of that Brad Garlinghouse tweet, knowing that we're going into the 118th Congress, knowing that we have an opportunity to actually do something that's positive instead of continuously walking down this same path of reactionary instead of being proactive. And, and that's kind of where it sits. So Edward, what is going up? Edward is down with OTC. So how do you like that? Got to be down with the OTC. So what else we got here? I'm going to turn to the chat and I see Rain. What is going on? Rain here. So good to see Rain on the chat. Rain is definitely an OG in the space over there in North California. What are you still doing in California? That is the question. Rain is stuck over on the left coast. So if ever there was a place that was anti-crypto, that would be it right there. What's up, Darcy? What is going on? Good to see you over here. So what else we got here? What else do we have to? Okay, now here's another one. What's going on, Colin? So here is one. Now we look at Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer, always, if you look at Jim Cramer, if he's supporting something and he's hot on something, that's the time to get out of it. If he's down on something, that's the time to get into it. He's the one that is the market influencer to allow the bag holders to be retail, to allow his institutional buddies to bail at the highs while the retail investors come in as the bag holders, and then they drop the market, and then they get retail to sell at the lows while the institutions buy back in. So Jim Cramer comes out, as I predict, another weak year for crypto. I do ponder how many people are still involved. Now, many millions of people. So, it's funny when you look at it. I love the commentary on it, though. I like this one. Happy New Year, Jim. And I think we went over this the other day, but, I just think it's so poignant to bring it back in here. Anyhow, all right, let's move on. You know what? I meant to show it, and there we go. I forgot I unshared my screen. And so here you go. Jim Cramer, there's our buddy. And here he is as the New Year's Eve clown. I know we showed that the other night, but it was so perfect to bring it back up over here. Now, here's another one. I like this one. This is Blockworks. So it's interesting. We can see this narrative that's being unfolded across the board within big establishment, whether it's the Fed or whether, what we're seeing from the SEC, on and on. Here we have here the Fed. Crypto poses key risk to banks, but carry on. 3 U.S. financial regulators do not prohibit or discourage banks from providing crypto services to their customers per a new statement. So let's see what this is. U.S. banks appear to have the green light for most cryptocurrency dealings, despite a number of key risks the asset class poses to TradeFi operators. Banks are neither prohibited nor discouraged from providing digital asset financial services. Now, it's interesting. So there's a joint statement issued by the board of the Federal Reserve. Now, they might not prohibit them. They might not discourage them publicly, but there is a high probability chance that they're doing so behind the scenes. Or, again, they're battering down the market, similar to this notion that FTX really had two purposes, right? With FTX, one was to funnel money to politicians. The other was to have a detrimental impact on the crypto market. And it might have been, I think their plan might have been foiled a little bit early. So it's better to know now than later. And so the impact will be minimal compared to what it could have been, even though it's horrible, the impact that we're seeing with the collapse of FTX, but it could have been so much worse. Here, it's interesting. So if we look into this now, did they really support? A number of top bulge bracket U.S. banks have favored a slow and steady approach to offering crypto investment products, both institutional and retail. There have been notable exceptions, including Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, despite misgivings. So it is really interesting to see what exactly is going on at the Fed. Is the Fed adopting and embracing, or are they not embracing? Are they anti-crypto, or are they in favor of crypto? Are they anti-crypto if retail is doing really, really well and they're not in on it? And then, they're in favor of crypto when retail is being battered down and losing, and that's where they come in and they're going to be way in favor of it. And then they start buying up asset, and try to push the market back up. Exactly what is the racket? What is the game here? Here, the agencies will continue to closely monitor crypto asset related exposures of banking organizations, the statement said. So it's so interesting when we look at it exactly here like this. The financial watchdog stopped short of prohibiting or discouraging banks from engaging in any So it's not that they approved it, it's that they stopped short of actually prohibiting, again, publicly. So what are they doing kind of behind the scenes? How does that impact, the bank from the banking perspective? I don't know. I think it was kind of interesting, and we're going to see the whole evening tonight. Everything's going to be really interesting how it kind of unfolds, one thing after another. Now, this was another, and before I bring these up, let me get rid of some of these tabs that are over here so we can get into, because there's a couple of videos that we're going to play. So we'll get to those here in a minute. And I want to get through some of this great stuff that we have here. Now, here's one that was, here we go. We'll get into that one. Wrath of Khan. That was something interesting from Valhill Capital. All right, let's go back here. Now, this was where now I closed the tweet. So there's a tweet that was shared. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Let me see if I can find the exact tweet that was put in here. Here we go. No, that's not it. Hang on one second. So it was a tweet that was shared to Chip. Here we go. So it's from the Glimmerman. So the Glimmerman forwarded this interesting article, kind of a post. Let me pull this up. And this is going to go through kind of FTX. So let's see. There he is. Attack Titan, the Glimmerman 00. So there it is. So that's the tweet. Now here is the post. Let me see. Am I sharing my screen? Not sharing my screen again. Here we go. See, it's tough when you're trying to manage everything, kind of go through the flow, then you're trying to make sure you pull up the right articles. What you get are typically just a lot of these. There we go. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So here we have, this was CB Insights. They do a lot of good research. They get into financial research, stuff like this. So for FTX bag holders, a map of their investment and M&A portfolio reveals where there might be still be some value. With bankruptcy filings highlighting 1 million plus creditors, we mined and mapped CB Insights data to shine a light on the companies FTX and related entities have partial or total owner. Now, this is really interesting. So again, imagine the short amount of time that FTX was actually in business. And in that short period of time, the acquisitions that they had, where did all the money come from? Does anybody, actually question where the mass amount of money that FTX rose from nothing and elevated themselves to the stage that they were brought in front of the White House, they were brought in front of Congress, not from a detrimental perspective, but they were brought in as advisors on crypto. SBF himself was brought in front of the White House. Meetings at the White House, meetings at Congress, meetings in front of Maxine Waters with the Financial Services Committee, all with the purpose of helping them provide some sort of guidance on cryptocurrency. Now, this guy came from nowhere. Obviously, family well connected into the inner circles of the political establishment. So you have to question also the influence then with the SEC. Why did Gary Gensler have multiple conversation and not highlight or pinpoint any of the issues that were going on over at FTX? And so then you have to say, okay, in this period of time, not only did they garner massive influence politically, but they acquired a significant amount of companies. And it's crazy. Again, either partial or total ownership stake in. So let's see what we got. Alamo Research. It's mind numbing to have this concept of what they were potentially, again, invested in, and the companies that they were buying. Where did all this money come from? Not just did it come from retail, from the public that they were cheating, but we're talking about, billions of dollars that just went to nothing. Obviously, there was about 40 million reported that went to politicians this last go around. And Elon Musk was saying there's evidence that could show that it was actually upwards to a billion. Now, this is crazy. I mean, this is just absolutely insane when we look through this, right? Think about, so obviously there's got to be some pull, there's got to be some leverage that in such a short period of time, this guy was able to build this company. And you're going to say that there was no meddling or influence whatsoever from a political establishment perspective to get him on the path to get to exactly where he is. I mean, it's crazy, right? So here you are, Walter Ego graphic of the wheel of misfortune. I mean, isn't that the truth? It's so crazy. So, and then Darcy was saying they're all in and we know it. I mean, it's so crazy to witness this unfolding, because 2 years ago when they were rising to eminence, FTX, and here we are, we were talking about, Chip and I talked about and referenced, it seems so sketchy. Then we saw, all of this, the stadiums that he was investing in. He had the FTX arena down in Miami, and they're putting their name everywhere. They're in Formula One, and we're saying this is kind of the move that a lot of people were anticipating when cryptocurrencies were gaining international notoriety on sport venues. And so the money, so when we follow the money trail, of course, yes, they were gaining that notoriety, and it provided some sort of normalcy. Obviously, we see crypto.com a lot, and we saw crypto.com during the World Cup. We see crypto.com during Formula One. FTX, again, was prominent on the Mercedes cars. And all from where? And so this is such a crazy graphic. I can't get over this graphic. It's unbelievable. It's really, really, just unparalleled. One-eyed Willie, FTX grew too fast and bypassed the hustle. Right, there was zero hustle. It was zero to the biggest. Where was the in-between? That's what I want to know. K. Hud, even not invested in FTX, still felt it. Oh, yeah, 100%. We're feeling the negative impact that this has created. But the thing is, again, it's almost like when you're pulling off a Band-Aid. You don't pull off the Band-Aid slowly. You pull it off fast, right? And you're thankful that you did pull it off fast. So we're thankful that it collapsed quickly, but at the same time that it collapsed early. Imagine if they would have pulled off their feet, which would have been going into the 2024 election cycle, and the amount of money that they were going to pour into the political sphere going into the 2024 cycle, not just in the US, but all around the world. The influence that they were trying to buy with politicians everywhere. And it's really, really important. And here's another one. Moneybags brings up FTX, Alameda, and Ukraine money laundering. So, and that's another good point. The amount of money that was pushed over to the Ukraine, and then Ukraine was investing into FTX, and FTX was in turn then sending money to politicians. So it's unreal. Wow. All while they're buying all these companies, partially or totally ownership stake. We don't know how big. We'd have to look at every single one of them, but there's near protocol. I mean, let's see if we recognize Blockfolio. Let's see if we recognize any of these. BlockFi, Voyager, Circle, Nova Labs. Let's see. Ledger X. Let's see. I don't know if you guys see anything that you recognize. Anchorage Digital. So, I mean, it's really, really, unbelievable. So anyhow, let's move on from this chaos. So let's go over to some videos. Let me get rid of this, get rid of that, and let's move on to a video. Let's go. We're going to go to this one first. You guys have probably already seen it. This was from yesterday, was posted. Let me see, make sure the volume is up. Let's pull this one up. This is the White House spokesperson saying that the meetings with SBF weren't focused on cryptocurrency. They were focused on pandemic, get this, pandemic prevention. I mean, you can't make this shit up, right? This is, it's like a story. So it's like a melodramatic comedy, as we're witnessing all of this unfold, but you really can't make this shit up. So here we go. Let me pull this one up. Here we go. And let's watch this one. Let's go. Where's the play button? Oh, it's on the side. Here we go. Ready?
Last week's visitor log release showed a most recent meeting between Sam Bankman-Fried and a White House official, Steve Ricchetti. In this case, this was his fourth meeting of the year. I'm wondering, given this first briefing since then, if you can give us any sort of summary of what has been discussed in Mr. Bankman-Fried's meetings with the White House over the course of the year?
Yeah, so let me give you a few rundowns here. As we've previously confirmed, as you know, I know you're following this very closely. These meetings included Steve Ricchetti and Bruce Reed. The meetings focused on pandemic prevention related to Sam Bankman-Fried's foundation, and general information on the cryptocurrency industry and crypto exchanges. Look, the administration has been clear about the need for Congress to take action.
Hang on. Rewind. Here we go.
Steve Ricchetti and Bruce Reed. The meetings focused on pandemic prevention related to Sam Bankman-Fried's.
Hang on. One more time. This is why they met with
Previously
SBF.
confirmed, as you know, I know you're following this very closely. These meetings included Steve Ricchetti and Bruce Reed. The meetings focused on pandemic prevention related to Sam Bankman-Fried's foundation.
I say bullshit. I mean, this is completely unbelievable. Yeah. So they're going to meet with SBF over his pandemic prevention. That's why they're meeting with him. And this is the fourth meeting, right? So let's see what else they have to say.
And general information on the cryptocurrency industry and
pandemic, but just general information. We're not going to get into actual details, just some general information.
Exchanges. Look, the administration has been clear about the need for Congress to take action when we talk about addressing cryptocurrency. The released on this topic and the president released a framework for protecting last fall and last November. Secretary Yellen administration's call for Congress to take action. So, as you know, the White House regularly engages with officials from a range of industries and sectors, including leaders in business and labor and nonprofits. Again, this meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried was focused on pandemic prevention related matters. And
I don't know how we missed all this stuff. I mean, it's so amazing. As every time they come out and say something, there's just so much bullshit, and this is another perfect, clear example of it. Here we go. K-HUD, what is up? We're still here. Yes, we are. Hey, why doesn't everybody, Brett, our first and only listener from Nebraska, what's going on, Nebraska? If everybody else, go ahead and just give a quick shout out to where you guys are tuning in from. That'd be awesome. And then let me go over here. This is a good one too, because I do want to bring it up. January, this is interesting. Is anybody, and Joni's bringing this up, is anybody excited about Monday, January 9th, which is the airdrop? And this is Uphold was saying an airdrop of Flare, and they're going to airdrop the Flare token, and it's going to be wrapped. That's how they're going to drop. And that way you get automatically registered for the next airdrop, wondering about Celsius, wondering about Coinbase. But does anybody really care? So I was talking to Chip about this earlier. I said, they're doing their airdrop in January 9th, but does anyone care anymore? They created so much hype early on, not to take away from the project and everything else, because we're, super optimistic about the Flare project. But I'm just saying, is anybody really that, fired up about the airdrop coming up? Because 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was so much hype in the space. And then it just, and 3 years later, I just wish they would have waited instead of creating all the hype. But, but to each their own, and very, very excited about the project. I want to see exactly, it's going to have such a major impact in the payment space. And so I'm really excited about the project. Great that they're doing the airdrop, but more excited really to see, I want to see them get off the ground. I want to see the impact that they're going to have in the space for payment. So Miguel Castillo, I got a feeling that George Soros was involved somehow with FTX. Interesting. There was definitely some power players that were involved with SBF. I wonder if Jim Cramer was somehow involved. Sounds just like a scripted Gensler, Liz Warren scripted spiel. It does, doesn't it? Sounds exactly like that. So when Elizabeth Warren came out and read her little statement, it was obviously not written by her, obviously written by Gary Gensler or one of the cronies over there. So let's see where people are tuning in from. We got Ray the Muss over in New Zealand, which is very cool. Robert over in Pittsburgh. we got Kansas City. We've got Vero Beach. What's going on? Man, we've got Norway over here. Awesome. Yankton and Norway. Man, Norway is a great, if you guys haven't been to Norway, go and visit Norway. Probably not in the middle of the winter, but go in the summertime because it's still going to be kind of chilly. But it's a great place to go visit. I was over there in Bergen and went down to the southern part. Didn't get a chance to head north, but go check out Norway. It's a lot of fun. So we got Corey's over in Buenos Aires, which is very cool. So see if I can get through all this. I don't know where Oz lives. Where's got Oz over in Australia. That's where he is. So Joni, free money is free money. Yeah. It's good. The overall airdrop, but I was just, so anyhow, let's a little bit behind in these. We got Tasmania. Very cool. We got Tasmania here. We got see who else we got in here. Got Northampton in the UK. Very cool. So, all right. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yankton is over in Bergen. Very nice. That's very cool over there. All right. So let me get rid of this video. Let's go on to the next one. Got another video. Let's get rid of that one. All right, perfect. So now let's get into, I like this one. This is Warren Davidson. Now, if you guys haven't seen the Warren Davidson interview that we did with him, go on to the website. I know it's probably from last year or so, but go on to onthechain.io, do a quick search for Warren Davidson, do one for Tom Emmer, do it for John Deaton. Go in there. They check out a bunch of the interviews we had, but Warren Davidson interviews on there where we're going to work on getting both Warren Davidson and Tom Emmer back on the show to talk about where we're going with crypto regulation. However, right now, obviously, they're a little bit busy. So once they get over being busy, then we'll go and check it out. But all right, so let's go into this one. So this is Warren Davidson on our buddy, Sam Bankman-Fried. So let's see here. Let's bring that one up. Here we go. So this is Warren Davidson on Sam Bankman-Fried. Let's reset. Here we go.
Is there a way to use his cooperation, use what he admits as a way to stop crypto fraud in general, or am I being completely Pollyanna about this whole situation?
Yeah, I don't think he really has crypto fraud. He just has fraud. I mean, he used crypto as the shiny object to bait people to provide the capital. But when the acting CEO came and testified before our committee, he made it clear, like, this is just plain old fashioned embezzlement. He took the money, said he was going to do one thing with it and did something else with it, used it for his own advantages instead of, what he said he was going to do, didn't segregate the funds and all those things. If you look at what Bernie Madoff did, he cooperated. He's got a 150-year sentence to think about what he's done.
Is there?
So it's interesting, right? There's so much. Is it low on the videos? Man, my bad. I know it sounds high on my end, but so anyhow, so with Sam Bankman-Fried, and it's interesting because the whole mindset, just like what we were talking about before, hoping that they don't, kind of twist this into new, some sort of newfangled legislation. The whole notion here is that he didn't commit crypto fraud. He committed fraud. There's fraud, and he committed it, and he was involved in it. Was he the kingpin behind it all? Probably the fall guy, probably not the mastermind. Doesn't seem to care, what he's done to impact anybody. Again, I don't think he's the kingpin, but it was fraud. It wasn't crypto fraud. You can't single out all of the crypto industry and everybody involved in crypto for his bad deeds that he was involved in, and that's it. So I think that again, very, very poignant, very diligent on behalf of Warren Davidson. If you guys don't know who Warren Davidson is, again, go check it out on the website. He doesn't have it here in his little bio, but he is the primary sponsor of the Token Taxonomy Act. Now, Ron Hammond, who we actually have, that we had read a tweet from John Deaton commenting on Ron Hammond. Ron Hammond actually had worked for Warren Davidson and was one of the primary authors of the Token Taxonomy Act when he worked for Warren Davidson. And incidentally, if you go even further back, there's a video. I'm not sure if it's on the website. You might be able to find it on the website, but Chip and I put together a video for Warren Davidson's office. We presented it with a bunch of YouTubers that all came to participate. Jungle Inc. was on there. Crypto Eddie was on there. We had a whole bunch of Tony was on there from Thinking Crypto. It was really, really great to see the impact. But we had everyone kind of say a few words on the impact of cryptocurrency at that time. Presented that to Ron Hammond and Warren Davidson. That was a number of years back. And that, it's really amazing when we start seeing the development within the industry. So now Ron Hammond works for the Blockchain Association. Ron Hammond had worked on the government affairs for Ripple for a little while. But this is Warren Davidson, definitely very influential in the crypto space, and underscore that he was the primary sponsor of the Token Taxonomy Act. Hopefully we'll see a new resurrected version of the Token Taxonomy Act that will fall and be presented in front of the 118th Congress and make its way to the Financial Services Committee, pass through Financial Services Committee, get voted on, pass through Congress or through the House, go to the Senate. Hopefully they'll have enough wherewithal at the Senate, and they'll have some form of an appetite for it to actually then pass it on, and let's see some actual positive clarity within the crypto space. So what do we got here? Toby. Here's Toby. Toby Burton. Hi, Jeff. Fantastic to hear you guys over the pond are getting the experts in to sort out the Ronnie. Can only assume you be getting Katie H for advice on voting ethics. Don't know the Ron. Okay. That's good. It is good. Hopefully we get something going on with some ethics. That'd be nice. We need a little bit of that. We need some ethics within our voting process, and we're going to get some things going on here. All right. What else have we got here? I've got another good video that we're going to put up right now. I like this. We'll do these videos kind of back to back, or you know what? Let's save this one. This is John Deaton on Charles Payne, also talking about SBF fraud. So we'll hold this. That was from yesterday, but let's hold off on that one. Let's bring in, and let me get rid of that one. All right, cool. Let's bring in, now this is really cool because This is, and there's no video, but this is Ripple getting a brand new patent back in 2020. So, why is this relevant? This was updated about a year, almost 2 years ago. Chip put this one in there. Chip, you put in an article from 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It was updated 2 years ago. So it's not a brand new patent, but what's interesting about this, and I'm sure that we have a reason for bringing it in, and it's kind of poignant right now because of Flare with their drop. Hopefully, Flare rolling out. I like this, going back and looking at some of the key patents that Ripple has submitted for, but a new Oracle-based smart contract design. Obviously, within the payment space, we're going to drill down through this and see if there's something critical. I pulled this one up, didn't read through this article, but I do want to look at some of the things that they were referencing at this time. Look at do you guys remember Codius or Coil? Coil is actually still out there. Codius, that was an interesting project. Not a lot going in on this one. So let me get out of that. Let's actually get to something that there was something with this. Oh, hang on a second. Here we go. It kind of correlates with this. Now this one, so what's interesting about this, I like this. So if you guys remember, think back to, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. Was it about 3 years ago? It was maybe a little longer, a little longer than 3 years ago. Well, we had a rebranding, right? Ripple rebranded their product, and when we saw the rollout of on-demand liquidity, the ODL, so that was obviously, I think, a little more than 3 years ago. But before ODL, before on-demand liquidity, Ripple would present themselves with 3 different solutions, if you guys remember. And so this tweet came up from WrathofKahneman, and it's kind of like a reminder of what exactly was going on. And we're starting to see, the battles of the banks, so to speak, right? So we have the battles of the banks. You have Swift, and then we had Ripple. Ripple at the time had 3 primary solutions, all kind of rolled into one because the solution was really Ripple. But they had Xcurrent, which was their payment messaging solution that was a direct competitor to a direct competitor with Swift. Then they had XRapid, which, if you look at the XRapid, it kind of became ODL, the on-demand liquidity, but the XRapid was using XRP as a bridge currency. And then you also had XVIA, which was their API. Now, between all of these, and even within Xcurrent as a payment messaging platform, it still had more technology baked into it. It wasn't just, hey, it's a direct competitor to Swift and everything's going to be, it was, Xcurrent was significantly better. Having XRapid, which was the predecessor to on-demand liquidity, and using XRP as the in-between as the bridge currency to help facilitate real-time settlement. But a lot of that was actually being orchestrated through the Xcurrent process. So I was looking at this. I'm like, man, I remember all this. And then they, all of this kind of fell within RippleNet. So here now these functions are integrated into one service, right? RippleNet, a payment suite messaging, managing messaging with the option to use on-demand liquidity, an XRP using product. And so as they took the whole solution, wrapped it, and came out with, think about from a marketing perspective, the branding of all of this. But think about then, if we look at some of the patents that Ripple, and I wish we would have had more than just go back to one, or what were they actually doing, getting and moving forward, with some of this, with some of that technology. We kind of go through here. Let's go to the third one. So if you see someone, uses Ripple or RippleNet, they likely only use it for messaging, not XRP. If ODL is specified, then values move using XRP on the XRPL. Glad WrathofKahneman actually shared this. Now, RippleNet is typically what most of the banking customers are using RippleNet right now. ODL, if we remember, with MoneyGram, when they had the relationship with them, MoneyGram was using ODL. They weren't using RippleNet. They weren't using, but they were using ODL. But they're using the on-demand liquidity primarily for their financial exchange, for their FX markets, and it just really, really amazing stuff. What else we got here? Did he put anything else that was interesting? Nope, that was old. I like this. I like how we're starting to see the development, kind of the integration. We're starting to see it's more progress within the crypto space, within the blockchain space, from a messaging perspective. We're seeing this within the different products as well. We're starting to, they're cleaning up their branding, their messaging, getting a clear understanding. Why are they doing it? It's moving from a tech-oriented platform, getting ready for Main Street. So if you try to go, and we would always have this discussion in the early days, trying to explain to Main Street what Ripple did, or what the purpose of Ripple was, and then having multiple different solutions within the RippleNet, having the XCurrent, XWrap, and all of that. And we're seeing this again, not just within Ripple, but within other platforms in crypto, that it's all moving in this direction of becoming more simplified, I should say, for Main Street, getting ready for Main Street, which is key. All right, what else do we have here that would be interesting? We've got another video here, so we got to play this video. And if it is too low, we'll have to hopefully this one works. Normally, if it's low on my end, then it's low for you guys too. But if it's too low, let me know. Let's see if this one works.
All right, folks, breaking right now, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried pleading not guilty to all counts. Let's get the read from crypto law founder John Deaton. John, not necessarily a surprise per se. A lot of folks thought he would plead not guilty, but it's par for the course considering the hubris of this guy. And for me, what I'm concerned about is, because I don't want this to be a story about one person's hubris and greed, and I want everyone involved to sort of, to pay a price at least. But what do you make of this so far? What's happened? Even the fact that he's out on bail pisses me off.
Yeah, you have the sentiment of a lot of people out there, Charles. First of all, Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. Great question to ask, because this guy was denied bail in the Bahamas, comes to the United States. He's granted bail. We see him in first-class lounges, and we see him traveling business class. In the meantime, people have lost their retirements. They've lost their life savings. So people are upset about it, and it's understandable. But I do have faith that he's going to see justice, because once you read the transcript of his partners in crime at their guilty plea, we learned that the prosecutors of the Southern District of New York asked the judge to keep it quiet in order to get his consent for extradition, and didn't release their cooperation until he was in custody of the FBI in the air. And when you read that plea agreement, he's toast, Charles. He's toast. But I can understand he's frustrated.
Toast. So if he's gone in for a plea, John Deaton thinks the guy's toast. Let me see what Charles Payne follows up with here.
Yeah, of course. And but I find it amazing that he's gone on websites and podcasts, throwing his girlfriend under the bus, and she did the smart thing, right? She cooperated. He's really going to get thrown under the bus. But I'm talking.
I love it. So I wish that we would see at least a little bit of reference from somebody. I want to see more. So, I want to see some of these news personalities dig in a little bit more, just a little deeper into the relationship between SBF and the White House, SBF and the SEC, SBF and Maxine Waters, SBF and Congress. Who within Congress? Why were they being so lenient, and why were they being so accepting of him early on? what exactly was the relationship, or there's just so much more to it. The singling out Bankman-Fried as the kingpin, as we were talking about before, I just believe there's so much more, but his, as John Deaton said, his day is coming. Regardless, even if he's the fall guy, it doesn't matter. He was at the forefront of all of this, and he was, the one that was put front and center. So he's going to get exactly what's coming to him. So that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. So I thought I was stop sharing. I'm looking over here, scrolling at some of the commentary. So what else we have here? This is one last piece of news, and this was posted on Linqto, actually bright and early this morning. K-HUD, what is going on? Man, everything is so corrupt. That's it. You know what's not corrupt, though? On the chain. On the chain is far from being corrupted. And actually, you know what else isn't corrupt is the 3rd anniversary party next December that we're going to have for the SEC v. Ripple case. Hopefully the case will be over, but we will always have a anniversary party. So that'll be exciting. So let me pull this one up. This was on Linqto. They posted this, and this was coming from, what is this? Ripple's general counsel has confirmed that this is the last filing Ripple will make. Now things are up to Judge Torres. Summary judgment for the case, according to former prosecutor James Filan, will take place on or before March 31, 2023, which is great, right? So we're getting closer. We're in January, so we have a couple months here to see a judgment. So I believe there's going to be a judgment. We reviewed, John Deaton was issued some commentary on whether or not settlement or will this go to judgment. Chip and I have a bet with Mr. B XRP and Coining 203 on settlement versus judgment. And if it goes to settlement, then we owe them a stake. If it goes to judgment, then they owe us a stake. And it already seems like the number of people that will be at this dinner has expanded. So there might be many more people at that dinner. It'll either be in Orlando, Tampa, or somewhere in South Florida. So, which would be great. So that is what we've got on that one. I think we're kind of wrapping it up here. I'm looking to see if there's anything else that would be great. There's another interesting tweet here that came in. This is kind of a long chain that scrolled through. I'm going to see where it all started. It's been ongoing. This thing has been ongoing for a while. Now, let me start out where it started. Got a couple minutes here. So let me put this one up. This all started with Craig Wright responding to Joel Katz. That was back in December. Now, he said, this is so dumb for so many reasons. Why are institutional investors the target market for peer-to-peer digital cash? And which jurisdiction should have their court orders respected? Now, Craig Wright was saying, I guess Mr. Schwartz is in for a hard lesson. It seems he doesn't understand how finance works or that people invest in commodities. Next, he has no idea about the legal framework and structures that allow for court orders to be perfected across jurisdictions. Now, it goes on and on and on. He goes on to say he has no qualifications or experience in institutional investment banking. He goes on to really attack. And then we scroll down a little bit. See how far down they were kind of battling back and forth. And then John Deaton responds. The SEC, and it seems like this whole discussion kind of unfolded. We'd have to take an hour to read through this and discuss it. But here's, I like how David's saying, you agree that because Craig is making a claim, he's the one that has to prove it, right? He has alleged that there's some requirement that filings mentioned the tech used, but has been unable to find the requirement other than a vague reference to SOX. Now, what's going on, Jerry? David Chan said, well, I think his claim is that Ripple and yourself were making claims of Ripple's use to the public and that those claims are fraudulent. I have not seen the specific claims, but for the sake of discussion, I'll spend 5 minutes Googling for such claims to play devil's advocate. So this is Jerry David Chan. Now, John Deaton responds to him, says the SEC sued Ripple after a 30-month investigation. The SEC is in possession of every XRP transaction by Ripple and its executives, along with internal emails, chat apps, marketing info, etc. If there was evidence of chargeable fraud or misrepresentation, the SEC would have alleged it. And that's 100%. They would have alleged it. That's all the entire case up to this point would have been discussing would be fraud. They would have talked about it. They would have come after them even more aggressively than they have so far. It wouldn't just be a matter of, is this a security, not a security? What is the issue? This is a bunch of rhetoric that's being spread out here. And for Jerry David Chan and Craig Wright and all of them to debate that there's some sort of fraud that existed, John Deaton puts it to rest 100%. Think about that. 30 months of investigation, and now we are in year 2, right? Second anniversary of the case. So it's amazing. 2 years in. So 2 years in, they would have brought it up. There would have been some discussion. And that is how you have it. It was a pleasure being with you guys all tonight. You guys are amazing. We have the best and the brightest in all of YouTube crypto space that gather here with us on the chain. So you guys are absolutely amazing. We'll be back here. Today's Wednesday. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. We'll be back here Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys. Check out for some of the short clips that Hans Lode is going in, chopping them up, making sure that we have some 10, 15-minute segments for you guys to digest from the longer segments. So until Saturday morning, we will check you guys out on the next one. We are out of here, right? We got to get out. We got to get out. Here we go.
Thank you and good night.
That's it. That's how you do it. I'm out of here.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.